Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Some massive news coming out for this Oklahoma program late Friday morning. Head coach Brent Venables getting a 6-year new contract with this Oklahoma program. And you kind of start reading Twitter, you start reading the message boards, and a lot of mixed reactions. I think a lot of the negative reactions are from non-Oklahoma fans. If I were to guess, and I would love to hear from you guys in the comment section, a lot of the Oklahoma fans are probably pretty fired up about this. And when you look at this Oklahoma program and you start talking about contract extensions, the thing you have to keep in mind, at least in my opinion, is where's this program going? A lot of the negative reactions to this Brent Venables news is they went 6-7 his first year at Oklahoma. They lost to Kansas during the 2023 season. But I think a lot of Oklahoma fans are looking at this program and saying it is clearly going in the right direction. And personally, looking at this hire, I'm a massive fan of it. You look at this Oklahoma program, we all know it is one of the biggest brands in all of college football. They seem to be aligned. And I don't think a lot of other programs can say that with NIL, administration, coaches, players. This seems like a program that has all their ducks in a row. And if you're the Oklahoma administration making this decision, looking at where this program is going, you're saying, yeah, we want to give Brent Venables more time to build what he wants to build in Norman. I'm a really big fan of this. Want to get into a few reasons why I'm a believer in Brent Venables going into the SEC with this Oklahoma program. Before we do, and as always, just want to say thank you to you guys. And I would love to hear, whether you're an Oklahoma fan, whether you're just a college football fan, I would love to hear some of your opinions on this move in the comments section. Couple of different ways that you could look at this news. Would love to hear from you guys. And of course, if you guys do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And without further ado, let's get into this one. And I want to start with why I am a fan of this move for Oklahoma. And I think it starts with where this program is going. You look at what they're doing on the recruiting trail. In 2023, had a number 6 class in the country, did a phenomenal job in the portal. You look at 2024, top 10 class in the country, really good job in the transfer portal. From a talent acquisition standpoint, Oklahoma, I think, is going in the right direction. I think they're one of those programs that's doing a really good job recruiting the high school ranks, but also using the transfer portal. And that's one of those things that you see a lot of head coaches really struggle with in this modern era of college football. It seems like Brent Venables is not really having those problems. And so talent acquisition, we know going into the SEC, that is a priority. You're not going to be a head coach at Oklahoma if you can't get it done on the recruiting trail. Brent Venables has shown that he can get it done on the recruiting trail. And then in terms of on-field play, 6-7, disappointing year under year one of Brent Venables. Not enough people give enough credit to how much change was taking place when Brent Venables took over from Lincoln Riley. These are two polar opposite coaches that do things a lot different. And you look at Lincoln Riley, he took a lot of really good players with him to USC. I think it kind of left Oklahoma and Brent Venables year one in his tenure in kind of a difficult spot. And obviously they did not play great football in 2022, but you fast forward to 2023, a 10-3 record, a win over Texas, a team that played for a college football or played in the college football playoffs. You saw massive improvements. And so, again, I think it's really easy to be critical of this new contract for Brent Venables, saying, what has he done at Oklahoma? 6-7, 10-3, hasn't made the college football playoffs. I think a lot of Oklahoma fans are saying, we care what he's done, but we care a lot more about where he is going with Oklahoma. And I think a lot of Oklahoma fans look at the situation and say, hey, we're going in the right direction. I think, secondly, you look at going into the SEC, things had to change with how Oklahoma wants to run this program to have success in the SEC, the prioritization of line of scrimmage play. You've seen that from Brent Venables. And that's another thing that makes me feel good about Brent Venables going into the SEC with Oklahoma. He knows what it takes to win at the SEC level, and it starts with the line of scrimmage play. You go back to the 2024 class, David Stone, Jaden Jackson, one of, if not the best defensive line class that we saw in the country. You also had guys like Eugene Brooks on the offensive line. Then you look at the transfer portal and say, it is becoming very clear that Brent Venables is prioritizing the line of scrimmage play. If you are looking for a kind of head coach that you want leading your program into the SEC, in my opinion, is Brent Venables. And again, there were some growing pains that needed to take place coming from Lincoln Riley to Brent Venables in Norman, Oklahoma. Those growing pains have taken place. And you look at Oklahoma over the next 5 years and say, Brent Venables is going to continue to change this program, can change the culture to kind of match what he wants it to look like. And we kind of all know if he does kind of achieve those goals, this Oklahoma team is going to be just fine in the SEC. And I think lastly, you talk about Brent Venables as a head coach. He's been a massive name in college football, going back to his days as defensive coordinator for Clemson. But in terms of being a head coach, he's only going into year 3. He's not been a head coach for very long. So I think there's also some reason to believe that Brent Venables as himself is going to get better at being a head coach, managing a program, managing a coaching staff, managing a roster, all things that you didn't really need to do when you were defensive coordinator at Clemson. He was just focused on building elite defenses, which we all know he's very good at. There were going to be some growing pains in terms of Brent Venables learning to be a head coach of one of the biggest brands in all of college football. You're seeing him kind of master that, right? How he's been recruiting the high school trail, how he's been using the transfer portal. You're seeing Brent Venables get a lot more comfortable with being a head coach of a premier program like Oklahoma. So you start taking a look at least why I am excited about Brent Venables being the head coach for a long time in Oklahoma. It seems like everything's going in the right direction. I think lastly, you see so many Power 5 programs just go from lily pad to lily pad with college head coaches. And that just, especially in the transfer portal era where you can lose half of your roster making a head coach change, you look at Brent Venables and say, you're happy to see Oklahoma just push their chips into the middle of the table with a head coach, because you see so many different Power 5 programs just go from coach to coach, and it really does hurt what they can build as a program. I think the Florida Gators might be a really good example of that. If they were to get rid of Billy Napier, I look at Oklahoma and say, I'm fired up that they found their guy, the guy that's not going anywhere for Oklahoma. Like we've seen coaches in the past, he's going to stay at Oklahoma. He's going to continue to build. And when you can have a head coach that stays for 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, those are all the programs that you see have a lot of success, right? You saw Jim Harbaugh going into, I believe, year 8 with Michigan win a national championship. Kirby Smart at Georgia. He's been there an extended period of time, won a lot of football games. There were some growing pains at first, but he got on the right course. You look at Nick Saban at Alabama, obviously there for 15 plus years. All the programs that have had a lot of success at the college football level, they were patient with their head coaches. They let them implement their culture. And when you can find a head coach that's going to be there for a very long time, those are the programs that you have a lot of success with. And I look at Brent Venables saying, hey, he's going to be here for a long time. I think that fires up a lot of Oklahoma fans. We know he's not going anywhere. This program, at the end of the day, it's going in the right direction. And I think that's what Oklahoma fans should be focused on. And that's what I tell a lot of college football fans who are skeptical of this is, yeah, he hasn't made a college football playoff yet, but this program, it's clearly going in the right direction. That's why you give a guy like Brent Venables a new contract and let him really get to work in terms of building this program in Norman, Oklahoma. Massive news, kind of a news that might fly under the radar during the offseason. We're talking about one of the biggest programs in all of the country, locking in a head coach for the next 6 years. Fired up about it. Would love to hear from you guys in the comments section. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.